Okay, let's talk about lists and arrays in Python right now. Just like always, the first thing that we do is to Google them. So if you Google lists and arrays in Python, the first thing is actually a good one to check, and it does have a good explanation. So lists and arrays, that are all both used for storing data. Imagine that you have a list of something, but they do, you can put them in lists or arrays. What are the difference between these two? They are both for storing data. They are both mutable. They both can be indexed and iterated through. Both can be sliced. The issue is that in case of lists, you can have list members that are from different data types. In case of arrays, all the data types should be the same. The reason is that you can actually do different operations on arrays that you may not be able to do that on the lists. So like here you can see the example. You can divide an array by 2 and you get all the members get divided by 2, but you cannot do that with the list. So let's start play with it in our Jupyter notebook. So to define a list, the only thing that you need is you need to put the list members inside the bracket. So I'm just gonna put 1.2, 3, 7.5, 8. Okay. Now I'm gonna do the same thing and try this time. I'm gonna define it as an array. Here we go. First thing to know, array is part of the NumPy module. So the first thing that I learned is that I have to add NumPy module to be able to actually use that. So I'm gonna import NumPy as NP. And I need to define it that go and get the array from NumPy. Here we go, we have the array. Let's play with them. Print print type A. Is it gonna work? Yes, it's gonna tell me it's a list. Print type B. It's gonna give me that it is an array. Now print A divided by 2. Give me an error, so you cannot do the mathematical operations on the list. What happens if I change that to B? Here we go. Good. Let's talk about something else, which is how can we access the members of the arrays? You're going to see that our list and array both have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 members. So, and they are indexed like that too. The only difference is that in Python, instead of starting from 1, it starts from 0. So if I want to reach number 1, the first member of our list or our array, I need to call A here in the bracket, I'm just going to tell that which member I want, which is 0. And then you print that. It's going to be 1. That is good. Same thing here. Print B 4. It is 8. So we talked about that in case of array, all the members should be from the same data type. And so here we have both what it seems to be integer and float. But when you printed the last member, you actually get 8.0. The reason for that is, in this case, the Python assumes whenever you put the integer, it assumes that it is float, so all the members can have the same sort of the data type. In case of list and arrays, they don't have to be one dimension. They can actually can have different dimensions based on the nature of your data. So you can have them matrix, like 2D matrix, 3D matrix, 4D matrices based on your need. So I'm gonna try to define a 2D matrix right now. I'm gonna define C as np.array. I'm gonna have one bracket that shows the bracket around my matrix, and then another bracket that defines my first line, the first line of my matrix, comma, another lane, and the last one. Sure, why not? And then I'm gonna ask Python to show me how does it look like. Here we go. Now we have the matrix. Now, how should I try and find my elements of the matrix? So in this case, when you are using the matrix, you actually use two indices to define each element of the matrix. It's going to be the same here too. So I'm going to ask it to print for me C one. So we know that it's going to be in this line, and so we are trying to find 6. So here we go. You can find the row. The first one defines the row, and the second one defines the column. So if you want to reach number 6, you can call it bit C12. There's 2 ways to do that. You can also write it this way. It's also going to give you the same results. Okay. I'm gonna copy this. And I'm gonna actually delete it. This is gonna be my list. And I'm gonna print D12 to show you that the result's gonna be not the same. In case of the list, you have to use these kind of notation to call your list members. Okay, now imagine that you have a list, you want to make it an array. How can you do that? I'm going to also print type D. We have a list. Then I'm going to define f as np dot as array D. That is actually the comment that change list to an array. Here we go. So now our f variable is actually an array, which is like a matrix of 3 by 3. Is that always going to work? So I'm just going to start to define a list that has different kind of data type. What happens if I try to make that as an array? Interesting. So, did it work? That would be the question to answer. Okay. Print print type G. We have an array. Print G. Okay. So now our np as array function change our list the way that all would be from the same data type. You can, when it's printed, you can see that all of them, 1, data, and true, become a string. That is something that you need to play with to become more comfortable with using different data types and using array and the list. I hope it was helpful for you. See you on the next tutorial.